to share real quickly what my hope is and what our hope is, and just in the scripture in Luke 15, we see the story about the sheep, and Jesus is telling people about the sheep. He's telling a little bit of a story, and it goes like this: If a man has 100 sheep and one of them gets lost, what will he do? Won't he leave 99 others in the wilderness and go search for that one who is lost until he finds it? And when he's found it, he will joyfully carry it home on his shoulders. When he arrives, he will call his together and his neighbors, saying, "Rejoice with me, because I have found my lost sheep." In the same way, there is more joy in heaven over one of us that is lost, who becomes found. Here's another story. Or suppose a woman has 10 silver coins and loses one. Won't she light a lamp and sweep the entire house, search carefully until she finds it? And when she finds it, she will call her friends and neighbors and say, "Rejoice with me, because I've found my lost coin." In the same way, there is joy in the presence of God's angels, even when one of our lost ones is found. And when I read this story, that coin, I remember in 2005 trying to get into a treatment center, and I couldn't because I had a check that would come every second week on a Tuesday, and it was my disability because I couldn't even work anymore, but I got disability and the check would come, and it's not a big check, $100, and my P test to get into rehab was Wednesday down at the Ottawa mission. That's where my loved ones wanted to send me, not to beautiful British Columbia and where all the other cool kids go. But I needed it, yeah. They needed me. No, and it went on, and I was getting worse and worse, and I was hearing things from signs and buses that drove by and TV channels, and my head was crazy. And I woke up one Tuesday, and I went to the mailbox to see what was there, and there was nothing. And Wednesday, I manipulated my loved one to take me for my last lunch, steak lunch. And I got into the treatment center and I peed in a bottle. And I passed. It was a good test to pass. And then I was really scared because now I was at Ottawa mission going into a treatment center. And it was scary. And I was sober. I didn't have my solution anymore. And then my mom called me later that night. Well, didn't call me, but there was a message that you don't have phones there, by the way. And I called her and she said, "Oh, I got some mail for you. Your check came." And I couldn't help but smile because God intervened for me, because I couldn't do it for myself. And the mailman dropped the check off at my neighbor's. And I think that's cool. I lost a check but found a clean positive test. And then I had another picture when I was recently going through this process that we call inventories. We have this corner store in our heart. And God's designed us to be able to connect spirit to spirit with him. And the stuff on our heart is what he fills our heart with, but he's love, and love is consensual. So he's not just going to blow the stuff off of your corner store heart. You actually have to come to him and go, "I have this stuff that's not leaving. No one wants it. And it's causing hurt and pain and anger and fear and all these things. I need to get rid of this." And consensual love will say, "Yeah, I'll take that." And then he replaces that with peace and joy and comfort and all the things that my spirit isn't. He gives me all of my needs. And I think this recovery process, it's not a one and done thing. It's a circular thing that I have to keep maintaining, just like any other relationship. And when I was doing this about a year and a half ago in COVID, because I had extra time and extra fear. So why not work on the corner store of your heart And so I was doing this process, and I got to this point, and just because I was writing down all my fears, and Scripture says, where there is fear, where there is God's perfect love, there is no fear. So I could say that maybe some of my heart doesn't have God's love, and that's really what propels me today, is that relationship. And so I had this little movie play in my head while I was writing down my fears, and it was in a grocery store. And I'm not a great parent, but I'm not the worst parent, I don't think. And I read a book once about parenting. I was like, oh, I'm like 50-50. I thought I was at the 75% mark, and then I read the book, and I'm like, oh, wow, I did some wrong things. You know, you're not supposed to pay your kids to cut the grass. There's a reason. It's because you're like paying them to be part of the family, and we're the tribe, and we should all participate. Anyway, I paid them. I'm gonna. And I had this vision of the grocery store, and I was looking at some labels and trying to figure out what the best curry is, because I can't make that on my own, so I need a jar. And so I'm reading the label, and my little boy is walking down the aisle, and he's looking at stuff, and he's walking, and I catch him out of my eye, and he goes around the corner. And I stop reading, I put my jar away, and I start to follow. And I didn't go to the mango section. I didn't go look for the fruit. I went and followed him, because there's probably somebody that might hurt him, or he might hurt himself, or somebody might steal him. There's things that could happen. And I just followed him, and he got into the milk section, and there's the cool air and the cold air and the blowing. And he looked around, and he saw a couple other people that weren't me, and he just started crying. And I came over, and I you just got to give it a little bit of time. So I came over, and I'll show you. You don't walk away from me. And I put my hand on his shoulder, and he instantly looked up at me, and every need that he had was met instantly. And that's the God that I have, is he searches for the one that is in the cooler section, that is lost, that doesn't know their needs aren't even being met, until they realize they aren't being met. And we're screaming and crying because we hurt and we're fearful. And then dad comes and puts the hand on their shoulder, but all our needs are met. And so that's what I want you to leave tonight, is that there is hope, that not everything on the outside needs to change. And we are going to lose people, and we're going to lose things, and relationships and jobs and finances and health and all of the things that we hold on to very tightly. And the hope is that nothing on the outside needs to change. I get the change inside of me. And so this corner store goes from this stagnant, crappy store that no one really wants to go in, but I hold on to these things. And the process of recovery is actually giving those things to the Father for him to put his things on. And now I'm not crazy, and I have peace, and I have joy, and I have purpose. And all of those needs, all of my needs are met. I don't even know what they are half the time, but they're being met. And if I don't work on that relationship on a daily basis, I will probably drink again. And I don't want to go to the Ottawa mission as a client. Sorry. I go to visit you, though. It's cool. It's cool. The food there is good, though. But I want to close with that, and I want to give anybody a free. All of the stuff we do is free. And we have a recovery program, and because of COVID, we put it all online. So if you go to ashesrubies.com, you can become a member of a recovery process that will get you into contact with the creator that will meet all of your needs. And it's a 17-week process. Imagine that, 17 weeks, and all of a sudden, you're great. You can actually go, I'm fine. I'm not, what is it? Frustrated, insecure, neurotic, and emotional, yeah. But you're actually fine. You're okay because you have purpose and you're helping other people, and you're feeling something that only drugs and alcohol did give you. But if you had my experience, drugs and alcohol actually stopped working. It puked on me and stopped actually being my solution. So I need a new solution. And some of us can, get sober because it sucks so hard. It sucks like it just horrific things that addiction does to us. And then we can get sober and then we're stark raving sober without a solution. And that's actually worse. And more people actually take their lives in recovery than they do in addiction because they don't have the solution that we need.